Hi everyone, my name is Kayla and I am a doctor of physical therapy working with fitnessblender.com to bring you meaningful content on health and wellness topics. This workout is going to be geared towards those of you with really stiff, tight hips that don't want to seem to move anywhere, or hips that give you some issues, especially when you're squatting or lunging. You're not going to need a lot of equipment for this video, but you will need an exercise mat, and you might need a yoga block or a small shoebox for some of the modifications that I'm going to suggest. I'll give you a few seconds to grab your equipment and then I'll meet you on the mat. Moving right into our first stretch for the workout, you're going to get into a child's position or modified child's pose. So hips, knees open. If this is a stretch for you, then go ahead and walk your knees in just a little bit. But if you can, try and widen them out to meet the edges of your mat. You're going to slowly extend down till you feel a nice stretch in the back of your hip joint. Toes should be touching one another but not overlapping. Hold for a few seconds, really sit back in that hip joint. Then you're going to come up onto your hands and knees, rock out of that stretch, and then come on back. Go ahead and move at your own pace. Aim for 8 to 10 repetitions, about 2 to 5 second hold between your transitions. Don't forget to add that thick blanket or towel roll underneath your knees to add a little bit more comfort. Don't be afraid to use your upper body to help push you back and deepen that hip stretch. This is a really gentle hip opener that we'll use to start our sequence of exercises. I'm going to do about 3 more. 1, 2, and this is my last one. Okay, from this position, sit back on your exercise mat. Bring the left leg, straighten it in front of you. The other leg, relaxed, bent, and palm or the bottom of your foot should be facing in towards your left leg. What you're going to do is reach for that left leg. However, you're not done here. Take the right arm, bring it up and over, and come back. So I'm going to switch positions so that you can see, but you'll stay on the left side. So left leg in front of you, right leg naturally bent comfortably. Reach forward, take the right arm, swoop it up and over. You should feel a nice stretch along the right side of your torso. Take a couple breaths here and come back to the starting position. Slide down the leg, arm up and over till you feel that the right-sided stretch, and come back up. Again, aim for 8 to 10 repetitions depending on how tight you are, and work at your own pace. Don't forget to breathe. Use your breaths to deepen the stretch. This stretch and the one that follows it is targeting a really deep muscle called the quadratus lumborum, or the QL for short. It is not well known because it is so deep in our lower bodies, well, our core actually. It's really deep in our core, but it connects several of our lower spinal vertebrae to our hip joint. And it is oftentimes a culprit and contributing factor to problems with the SI joint, problems with the hip, as well as low back pain. Okay, as usual, I forgot to count, so I'm going to do about 3 more reps and then switch sides. So by now, you should be feeling a little bit looser, which is good because some of the stretches that are going to follow this require some more range of motion and would not be good stretches to start off with. Okay, this is my last one, and then I'm going to switch sides. All right. Okay, shake it out. Other leg in front of you. Remember, bend the other one, relax it. Slide down your straightened leg, open up to the ceiling, up and over, and come back. This one's kind of a double whammy, huh? It gets the QL and the hamstrings, and a little bit of the low back as well. I think this video will be either my 12th, 13th, or 14th video release on Fitness Blender. And I am no closer to counting while talking than I was when I first started. So I think my goal for video, let's say video 25, my goal is to have mastered talking and counting at the same time. Okay, I'm just gonna do one more for good measure. Okay, now that my QL is nice and loose, let's go for the really, really intense QL stretch. You're gonna get into a pretzel position or modified pretzel. If this is really a tight fit for you, not a good idea, what you can do is take that yoga block, prop it underneath the left knee, the right knee, whatever is most comfortable for you. What you're gonna do is position yourself in that pretzel position, left knee bent, right knee bent behind you. However, you are going to stabilize that left foot by gently propping the right knee on top of it. Right hand, you're gonna lean back slightly. Left hand goes up and over. My QL is like, probably looks like one of those spiral noodles. It's so tight. So this is about as far as I can go. Again, the goal is to lift the rib cage up while keeping your pelvis grounded on the mat, and then you lean. You should feel this stretch right on the left side of your torso, and you might feel it a little bit into your left hip as well. Again, lift up, lift the rib cage, and lean to the right. Couple seconds. We're not doing static stretches. We're not holding it for a long period of time. 2 to 10 seconds at most should suffice. Again, we're aiming for a rep range of 8 to 10 reps for this one. This feels really good. You can use that right hand to stabilize you however you need it. I just have it resting behind my right heel. I'm also feeling this a little bit up my upper back too. It feels great. I don't know if you can tell from the video, but I'm actually not doing a pure side bend. My bend is a little bit backwards towards the brick wall behind me. So I'm lifting up towards the ceiling and I'm extending to the side and slightly backwards towards my right hand. And I'm going to do a couple more. And this is my last one, and then I'll switch sides. Okay, so if you're going to switch with me, come out of it gently. Again, set up, right knee in front, left prop it behind. Use your yoga blocks or folded blankets as necessary. Stabilize the right foot gently with the left knee. Left hand goes behind the left foot. Okay, right hand reaches up towards the ceiling. Lift the rib cage and extend sideways and slightly back. And then come on back to the starting position. So lift, bend, and extend. And come back. Lift, bend, and extend. Now the QL, the way that the QL is positioned in our bodies, it can be really, really super tight on one side, but completely normal and mobile and pliable on the other side. It is really posture dependent because of the way that the anatomy of the QL and the muscle fibers in our bodies. So I am a habitual couch sloucher. I've talked about that before. And so my QL on this side, great. My QL on the other side, atrocious. It's a spiral noodle. I have a spiral noodle for my QL instead of a linguine. That's what it's supposed to look like. A nice, pliable, flexible piece of linguine. But no, I have a spiral noodle. I have a rotini. Okay. I'm going to do a couple more, and then we'll move on. Okay. All right. Now that we have some of our hip muscles warmed up, we have our QL warmed up, our hammies are getting warmed up, let's switch positions. We're going to go down on our side. So I am down on my right side. I'm going to take my right leg, bend it up in front of me. Left leg, it's going to be nice and strong, just resting on the exercise mat. Tight core, ab hollow, obliques engaged, and I'm going to put my entire forearm down to help stabilize me. Now the right leg is going to be the leg doing all the work. We're going to be doing external rotation of the hip, so keeping your thigh flush against the exercise mat. You're going to take the bottom half of your leg and you're going to rotate it towards the ceiling, so the movement is bringing your foot away from the exercise mat without moving any of this. So that is where your core comes in. That's where your glutes come in. Both glutes, the left glute and the right glute, as well as your obliques, to help keep your upper body nice and stable. Now for some of you, this is going to be an activation issue because this is not a muscle that you are accustomed to turning on. Others might notice or might struggle because of weakness in these really tiny stabilizing hip muscles. And then the rest of us might be able to do a couple, but then we're really gonna feel the burn once we hit those higher rep ranges. Again, make sure the upper thigh remains completely against the exercise mat and you are not lifting the thigh. The only part that is moving is the lower half of your leg as well as your foot. Okay, I'm gonna do 3 more and then switch sides. Just your reminder, check your core, check your glutes and check your strong, stabilizing left leg. Okay, go ahead and switch sides. Left leg bent in front of you. Right leg straight, steady, stable. Upper body, nice tight core. And lift. Like I said, if you're struggling, it's probably either an activation issue, weakness, or you have poor stability here and trying to compensate elsewhere. Or you're like me, all of the above. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, go ahead, switch sides again. We're gonna do one more set of 8 to 10 reps. All right. Right side, here we go. Reminder, check your core, check your obliques, and check your glutes too. I am not holding my thigh down, but I am simply using light touch as a cue to keep my upper thigh on the exercise mat. Okay, that was my last one. Oh, I felt that burn. Okay, I am completing my last rep on the left side. It's my problem child. I don't know what it is about my left side, but I just feel like it's not wired in my brain. Anytime I do stability or activation workouts, my left side is just the problem child. Okay, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, that wasn't really a mobility exercise. It was kind of a strengthening exercise that I snuck in there just because it's a really healthy exercise for our hip joints. Now that our hips are nice and limber, we're a little warmed up, let's go right back to that pretzel. So this is a pretty intense hip stretch. Feel free to grab your yoga blocks, your blankets, your towel rolls for modifications because you might need it depending on the range of motion in your hip joints. So get back into your pretzel position. However, take that right leg that is internally rotated, move it out to the side just a little bit because that's the hip we're really focusing on and stretching. Again, if you need those modifications, yoga block underneath either knee or build it up with some towel rolls and thick blankets. So this is where you're gonna engage your core, nice tight core, lift your rib cage up, but keep your pelvis or your hips on the mat table, or I'm sorry, the mat, the exercise mat. What you're gonna do, you can keep your hands clasped in front of you, keep them right here on your chest just to cue yourself to lift your chest, or you can rest them gently on your thighs as long as you're not pushing down. So what you're gonna do is holding this half pretzel position, slowly lean forward until you feel that stretch in the right hip capsule, hip joint. Now, as long as you can hold it here for a few seconds, go ahead and rock back. If you need to, you can put your hands down in front of you. However, don't let yourself lose that nice upright torso, upright position. So if you do lean your hands down, just make sure you maintain that upright positioning. And then come on back. Be really gentle with this one, guys. It can be a little bit intense at first, especially if your hips are really, really tight. So feel free to move that right leg forward a little bit if you need to. As you reach those higher rep ranges, you might be able to move that right leg further back. Okay, go ahead and lean forward and then relax back. Forward and back. Forward and back. I really don't like this one. I think I said before how I don't like to use the H word. So I detest this exercise. Like on a scale of 0 to detest is is a 10 out of 10. I think this is probably like a 7. I mean, wall angels, without a doubt, wall angels are a 10 out of 10 on the detest scale, but yeah, this one's up there. Definitely up there. Like I said, be really gentle with yourselves on this one. This is not the time to be aggressive and take a no pain, no gain type of attitude. Okay, once you have reached that comfort 8 to 10 rep ranges, go ahead and slowly come out of that and switch sides. You're gonna be a little stiff, so like I said, just take your time, get into that half pretzel position, modify as needed. Lift the chest and come forward with the torso. Hold for a few seconds and come back. Like I said, if you want to hold your hands up near the top of your torso, sometimes I like to do that as just a little cue to myself. So if I feel myself sinking downward, I can remember to cue myself. Bring that rib cage back up. I'm so curious. You're gonna have to let me know in the comments. I'm so curious if people notice these differences from side to side, at least as much as I do. It's really fascinating. And hopefully, over time, the goal would be to lessen the asymmetries or the differences between side to side. That would be ideal. However, sometimes I think I've talked about this in one of my expert articles. Weakness or a loss of flexibility is actually compensation for something else that's going on in our bodies, either up or down the kinetic chain. So, everybody moves differently. Everyone's body works a little bit differently. So the best answer that I can give you is work within your comfort zone and what feels right to you. Okay, I'm going to do a couple more. And if you like this stretch, if you are like a 2 out of 10 on the detest scale, go ahead and pause the video and try another set, because like I said, this is a really good exercise for your hip joint because it gets external rotation in the front leg and internal rotation with the back part of the pretzel. And internal rotation is most often where we're limited, for sure. All right, so I'm gonna carry on. We're gonna finish with one more stretch. Like I said, feel free to pause if you need it. Now we're gonna finish with a really deep groin stretch. We've done this one before in my daily mobility video, but it's an oldie but a goodie, so we're gonna repeat it for our finishing exercise. What you're gonna do is get into that nice, this is a stretch. Okay, so right leg out to the side, toes pointed forward. On your hands and knees. If this is tough for you because you don't like to kneel, stick a thick blanket, rolled blanket between your hamstring and your calf, and that should help relieve some pressure. All right, so what you're gonna do, again, we are rocking gently. So rocking forward onto your hands and upper body, and then sitting back, really getting into that nice groin, adductor, inner thigh stretch here, up on your heels. And then come up onto your knees and hands, a couple seconds, and rock back. and up. If you need a progression from this, go ahead and add the thread the needle position and pose that I showed you in the daily mobility stretch. Go ahead and aim for 8 to 10 for your rep range. This is my last one, and then I'm going to switch sides. Okay, come out of it gently. To come out of it, rock forward, bring the right leg underneath you, and prop the left one out to the side. Remember, toes pointed forward. Start here, and rock back. And back up. And sit back. If you couldn't tell from any of my other videos, I absolutely love rep ranges. I just feel like they give so much grace in allowing you to find your rhythm and find what works for you, because one day you might only get to 6 to 8 in the rep range, but then if you're having a really good active recovery day, you incorporate some breathing, you might make it to those higher rep ranges. And that's what I love about them. They're so forgiving, and they make you feel like you are accomplishing something even when you don't feel like moving. Okay, so as usual, I was chatting and not counting. I promise I will get better at this. So I'm going to do about 3 more and then call it quits. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, bring it in, shake it out a little bit. So whether you're joining me as a warm-up, as a post-workout stretch, or on one of your rest days and active recovery days, thank you for taking the time to work out, get to know me, listen to me ramble about my to test scale. So I am looking forward to hearing about your experiences with these types of workouts in the comments, whether you have differences and asymmetries in side to side, how you work through some of those, and what you're hoping to see from me in the future. So have a great day and workout complete.